Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to Norbertina Outreach Association. Today we'll be talking about stroke. What is stroke? Stroke is sometimes called brain attack when there is a blockage in a blood vessels that supply blood to the brain. Like the vessels that supply blood to the brain, there is a blockage there. When you have a blockage there, then you are liable to have a stroke. Or it can also happen when there is a breakage, that's a blood vessels burst and there is a leakage, or you can call it a bleeding of a blood vessels around the brain. It causes stroke. Now they are the main cause of stroke here. The main cause of stroke is high blood pressure. High blood pressure, that is hypertension. Especially when we talk of the bursting of blood vessels in the brain, then we can talk of high blood pressure as the main cause of stroke. We can also have things like a blood clot that block the blood vessels. Let me say a tiny artery that supplied oxygen to the brain, to a part of the brain. When there is a blood clot, then that part of the brain that was supposed to supply oxygen is blocked. There is no oxygen, blood cannot reach there. Then there will be limited oxygen or no oxygen around that area. That is another cause of stroke. We also have fat deposit. Yes, fat deposits such as cholesterol and the rest. So when you have excess cholesterol in your system and the fat deposit flows and block a blood vessels, which block a blood vessels from supplying blood to a particular section of the brain, it causes stroke. There is another type which is also caused by fat cholesterol, which will block the blood vessels in a term called atherosclerosis. There's a tiny or reduce the blood vessels or automatically block it from supplying blood to a section of the brain. It will cause stroke. Now we have about 3 types of stroke. We have the ischemic stroke, the hemorrhagic stroke, and the transient ischemic stroke. The ischemic stroke will just be giving a short definition. We don't need to talk too much, just for you to understand. The ischemic stroke is when there is a narrowing of a blood vessel that supply blood to the brain, the brain, to a particular part of a brain. The blood vessels is being narrowed, is being reduced. It causes stroke, hereby reducing the supply of oxygen, because the main issue here is oxygen supply. When there is no oxygen supply, that part of the brain dies or stop functioning. Now when the part of the brain stop functioning, and you know the brain is the one that contains or that function or that give information to all part of the body to function. So when there is a narrowing of that blood vessel, or there is a blockage that stop the blood vessels, a particular part of the brain from receiving blood, now the part of the brain stop functioning or dies. Now when that section is dead, the section it controls in the body, because each part of the brain has a particular section it controls in the body. When that part is there, the section it controls in the body automatically lose function. That is the phenomenon of stroke. Now we're talking about ischemic stroke. Ischemic stroke, there's a blockage due to blood clot due to fatty deposit, atherosclerosis, the build-up of fat deposit around at the blood vessels that narrow or stop blood from being supplied to the part of a brain or a section of a brain. And if blood is being stopped, thereby there is no oxygen supply in that brain, and that part of the brain dies or stop functioning. The next type of stroke is hemorrhagic stroke. This hemorrhagic stroke mostly occur with hypertension, that is high blood pressure. When there is a burst, a leakage of blood vessels, there is a burst, your blood vessel bursts due to increase of pressure. Now the blood vessel bursts, and a particular part of that brain, that blood vessels that is disrupted supplies could not receive blood or oxygen, automatically that part dies. Then we have the next one, which is transient ischemic stroke. This one occurs suddenly and it lasts for about a minute or an hour, and you need to manage this one immediately so that it cannot lead to the real stroke. This transient ischemic stroke occur rapidly and goes back. It happens about a minute to an hour. It also happens due to the shortage of oxygen or lack of oxygen supply to a part or a section of a brain. Now, signs and symptoms of stroke. I'll list some few signs and symptoms of strokes. Now we have unexplained dizziness. You just feel dizzy, you cannot do anything, you just feel dizzy. We have confusion. We have numbness and weakness of face, arms and leg. Now, each part of a body, each section of a brain each part of the body is being controlled by a section of a brain. For example, we have the right part of a brain that controls the activities of the left section of the brain. Okay, now for example, if we have a blockage around the right part of the brain, automatically you will discover that your left arms of your left legs will stop functioning or will become numb and weak, or your facial expression start falling. That is a sign of stroke. You have trouble speaking, and you find it difficult in talking. This is when a blood vessel has blocked the part of a brain that controls speech. Now you won't be able to talk, or you find it difficult to talk. That is a sign of stroke. Another one is trouble in seeing. The same, if the stroke attack a section that control your sight, you find difficulties in seeing. So this is just a brief rundown of what is stroke, what you should understand by stroke. That is a blockage of blood vessels that stop the supply of oxygen to a section of a brain, which lead to the death of that brain or non-functioning of that brain, that section of the brain. And if the section of the brain is dead or stop functioning, it leads to the inability of the part that section of the brain control to function very well. Thank you for your time. Thank you. I really thank you for taking up time to watch this video, and many more videos will be coming up.